I truly love every human being that took the time today to come to this place, because this is a very special occasion. This is an occasion to keep the legacy of Queen Mother Amelia Boynton Robinson alive as long as I live, especially, and hopefully thereafter. We don't have to do this. You didn't have to come here. But the board of the Village of Hope is determined to make it happen. And so they decided that if we were going to engage, we needed to pour into other people that represent the, let's say, tenacity, the love, the trust, and the respect of Queen Mother Amelia Boynton Robinson. And that woman was a true bundle of nothing but pure love. Each of our board members has the authority to pick a person that they feel is worthy of her legacy award. And this we do every year. And I want you to meet these people for a quick word. Board members, please come forward. Reverend Kenneth G. Jones had death in the family, so he had to travel north. So he asked his wife to come and represent him. So I want you to know that he's present whether he's here or not. So can we get a word, Brother Moore?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Miss Robinson and I was very good friends. If anybody know Miss Fanny Bingham, she was a 1915 graduate of Tuskegee University, and she and Miss Robinson were real good friends. She lived out in California because she couldn't stand hot weather, so in the summertime she'd be in California, wintertime she'd be here. And when I picked her up from the airport in Montgomery, the first place she wanted to stop was over at Miss Burt Robinson's house. So I knew her very well, and I used to take them shopping, flowers down in Montgomery and different places. And I enjoyed Miss Robinson. Matter of fact, I bought the house next to her because I loved her so much. So that's about it for me. I've been on the board since establishment, since this incorporation, and I enjoyed myself. Our original plan is to entice young boys to lift up, to pull their pants up and hold their head up when they talk. They don't talk with your head down. Always keep your head up high and keep your pants up around your waist. Thank you very much.
Good evening, and thank you all. I am Sharon J. Hill, and I am actually from Atlanta. Thankful that my husband has joined me here today for this awesome time. I am on the board because I reached out. It was one of those times where, having worked with other civil rights veterans and icons, I serve under Dr. Joseph Laurie, the Dean of the Civil Rights Movement, and it's most awesome to say that I actually serve for the mother of the voting rights movement, well, one of the mothers, as we know. And it was just as I was learning more about the role of women that it came to me about Dr. Boynton. And so in that, here I am today. I am on the board, and through that, here for, that was right before her 100th birthday. So from that, we are working on making sure that in the spirit of Amelia Platts Boynton Robinson, that we continue the awareness and the fight for right. And so I currently am working on the Equal Rights Amendment. She led everything having to do with our rights and what we need And so it is in this time, with one more state to be ratified for the Equal Rights Amendment, that in the spirit of Dr. Amelia Boynton Robinson, as we stand today on this, her birthday, and the anniversary, 98th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, today, the 18th, this is a time that we recommit for her to make sure that women are in the Constitution. And we also had fought very hard for her to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. But of course, that didn't happen. It still can.
Yes.
And
yes.
so I stand with you here today, really inviting you to join us as we move towards those things that need to be done. With my other board members, I appreciate you and thank you so very much for joining here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As Chief said, I represent my husband, KG Jones, and it's just great to be here to witness everything that's happening today. KG usually has more words than I have, and I would just say that he was excited to be a part of the board and has always worked to push people forth to do those things that are necessary to lift our community up, which again would lift humanity up. So thank you so very much.
Okay. Well, they've heard enough of me. I'm going to be here for you.
Well, I just want to say I was honored when Chief asked me years ago to be a part of the board of the Village of Hope, to help out in any way I can, and especially through my artwork. But I met Amelia Boynton Robinson, Queen Mother, back in 1989 when she commissioned me to do a montage of her that she donated to a national women's organization to help raise funds about 20 years later. But she adopted me as her godson back in 1989, and I would often go visit with her and talk to her right before she passed and all through the years, and I learned a whole lot about her. She was not just a hero for the human and civil rights and the voters' rights, but she saved a lot of lives through her travels through this world. And she had a lot of courage. She wasn't afraid of anything, you know. And the more I learned about her and read about her, because she'd given me a couple copies of Bridge Over Jordan, which I read, and she had such an interesting life that words could not explain Mrs. Boynton Robinson, because she did so much, and she was the one, she and her husband, who went and got Martin Luther King early on and asked him to come to Selma to help with the march against, with their civil rights there after Jimmy Lee was killed. And I also worked with Dr. Joseph Lowry, but this is not about me, for 10 years as an artist in Atlanta, as their artist for 10 years for the SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which was really good. And I got a chance to meet everybody that I read about, from Rosa Parks to Jesse Jackson many times, Dorothy Height, all the people that they met. They would invite me to D.C. or to where I met Chief in Dayton, where I was one of the featured artists. And I just thank God for people like her, because young people that I teach at the university at Tuskegee now, even though I teach art, I also teach history, because they need to know from whence we came to where the reason why they have the freedoms that they have. It just didn't happen. People died so they'll be able to walk this country basically free and do the things that they can choose their goals and attain them now. Whereas before, people like Amelia Boynton Robinson, they couldn't. They had so many barriers, racism, and all this other stuff. So I'm glad that I chose Tuskegee over California, where I was born and raised and grew up. And coming to meet, and Mrs. Robinson was one of the first people. In fact, she was on her way to the English Parliament. They'd asked her to come to advise them that year, 1989. And she was getting ready to get on the plane when she commissioned me. And I never forgot this tall, strong, statuesque woman, a beautiful woman with all the strength. And I just didn't meet people like that before. I met a lot of stars, worked with them before, but coming to the South and meeting Mrs. Robinson really changed my life and made me more aware and more proud to be a black person, a black man here in America. Because you don't get that everywhere, unless you meet these icons like Mrs. Robinson. You know, and like Chief and I discussed early on, that she was really the mother of the movement before Rosa Parks, before anybody. It was Ms. Robinson. So thank you, Chief, for inviting me on the board, and thank you, Al, and everybody else. And I hope I didn't talk too much. And my friend, Dr. Tuki Taylor, came with me again this time. And there she is right there.
Okay, thanks to you all. Now, who are they talking about? They're talking about a woman who was born in 1911. And at 9 years old, she was on a horse and buggy with her mother riding the countrysides of Savannah, Georgia, helping to encourage black people to be brave and bold enough to register and vote. She was experienced a serious situation, whereas a bus driver tried to get her mother to pay in the front of the bus, get off the bus, and go and enter into the back of the bus. She watched her mother take the money that she was supposed to pay and throw it into the face of the bus driver and got off the bus, and they walked to their destination. She was a little girl who saw her mother go to court one day and was disrespected by the judge. And she didn't like that. Amelia Boynton Robinson told me through some of these midnight conversations that her mother walked up to the judge's bench and pointed her finger. And this is in Georgia now, back in the 1920s and 30s, and told that judge that he should never disrespect her like that, and she was going to have his job. Went out and campaigned against the judge, and the judge was defeated. It was a bad woman. Queen Mother was the kind of woman who, when Sheriff Jim Clark of Selma, Dallas County, told her to get off the street and move over in the group of niggers, she said, "I'm not going to do that. I'm going back to my office." She had an office of real estate and insurance. She was a somebody, businesswoman. Sheriff Jim Clark said, "I said, you get over there with those other niggas." Queen Mother said, "And I said, I'm going back to my office." And if you Google her, you'll see a famous picture of Sheriff Jim Clark got her jacked up in the back of her collar, and in her clothing at the bottom, bum rushing her down the street, and put her in a cruiser and took her to jail. Queen Mother said, "I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to ball up my fist and sock him upside his head or what." But God spoke that day, because the crowd told Queen Mother, "Go on with them, Mrs. Boynton. We'll join you." And you know she didn't believe those people. You join who? You going up against Sheriff Jim Clark when white folks and black folks, everybody's scared of Jim Clark. But anyhow, when she got down to the jail and spent about 2 hours there, she heard all of this commotion coming. Several hundred people forced Jim Clark to lock them up, fill that jailhouse up. And they sit up in there and sung those good old spirituals, empowered themselves, and stood like some natural-born human beings. She led that. Queen Mother had to stand when her husband went down, because her husband was a very strong man. He taught her how to be the strength that she was. Because when things got tight down in Dallas County, hey, let's just get out of here. Your people were established up in Philadelphia. Let's just go up there and get situated. That's what Queen Mother told him. All right. Mr. Boynton said, "No man's going to run me away from my home. I stand." And as a consequence, she stood with him. And they arrested him for nothing, and they told lies on him, and they distorted his business opportunities. So it overcame him. He passed away. Queen Mother could have then rose and went on to Philadelphia and told the people in Selma and Dallas County, "You all keep on having this." But she didn't do that. Because they decided to have a memorial for her husband. The deacons say we're going to have a memorial at the church. The preacher said, oh, no, you're not. You know those people don't like that man. You're not going to bring that up in here. But the deacons started to stand. Queen Mother had touched them too. And so they shamed the preacher so bad until the preacher said, okay, all right, just bring it on. Hundreds of people came, including Sheriff Jim Clark and every white man that he could rally that wanted to get deputized and armed so that they could take care of business. They came up into the church, the sheriff deputies, looked at everybody in there. And then they went into the parking lot, took down license numbers. And that following week, all of those people that could be identified, black people that is, were fired from their job. Well, Bernard Lafayette had already eased into Selma, even though Martin Luther King and others thought that that could not be a place where progress could be made. He had already gotten to the children, convinced them to let's sing some freedom songs. You know how young folk get when you get a rhythm going with whatever you're going to do. And these black people then said, well, if I've been doing my best by master and I go to a meeting and I get fired from my job, then I might as well hit the picket line. So they came out, including teachers. And teachers were scared of their shadows back in those days. Because they knew that if they did anything that was opposing to the master's will, that their contracts would be canceled. But because of Queen Mother going to jail after that situation, and those people memorializing Bernard Lafayette coming into town, beat half to death and nearly shot. After all of that, the people decided to rise. And you don't question when a person does whatever he does or she does. The fact is, if they do good, they do good. But we have a habit of stereotyping, labeling, chastising, ostracizing our people for standing. But Selma became a place because of Queen Mother Amelia Boynton Robinson and Miss Marie Foster and Bernard Lafayette. Their audacity to stand in spite of the beatings they got, in spite of the threats, in spite of everything. Then, I don't know whether it was divine intervention or what, State Trooper James Fowler shot and killed Jimmy Lee Jackson. And somebody said now, enough is enough. They thought about taking Jimmy Lee Jackson's body down to the State House where George Wallace was and putting it on the steps of the State House. But you know how we are. We're not going to treat our dead folk like that. We treat living people sometimes awful bad, but we treat dead folk pretty good. So somebody decided, no, let's don't do that. Let's just walk from Selma to Montgomery and 54 miles, and let's tell George Wallace that we are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's what they tried to do. But you know they tried it one time, it didn't work. They tried it a second time, Martin Luther King turned them around, and then they tried it the third time, and Queen Mother got beat down nearly to death. And when a citizen told Sheriff Jim Clark that there's somebody over there and I think she's dead, Jim Clark said, let the buses eat her. That black man that day, I'm told Jim Clark, if you don't go get that person, we're going to burn this town down. They sent a hearse to pick her up. But shuck, that woman killed right on living. She lived to be 104. She attended Jim Clark's funeral, Sheriff Jim Clark's funeral. Jim Clark messed around and died, and Queen Mother heard about the fact that he was dead. Queen Mother asked me on one of those lonely nights we had over there, would you take me to Jim Clark's funeral? I said, whoa, down in Upper Alabama. But if Queen Mother wanted it, and if it was possible, then I was going to deliver it. So Attorney Latifah Muhammad and I got together and took her down to Jim Clark's funeral. We were only 3 little specks in there, but she handled that situation like a natural born champ. She went in there, addressed those family members, let them know who she was, and assured them that she had no hatred against anybody about anything. And she showered her condolences on that family. That was a bad woman. And, you know, when they went across that bridge, state trooper told her to run. Now, let me see how smart you people are in this room. When the state trooper told Queen Mother on Bloody Sunday to run, did she run? No. Boy, you guys are smart. She sure didn't. And he hit her across the back with a nightstick about that long. Looked like a axe handle. And he looked at her and she looked at him, and he said, I said run. And she didn't run. And next time he cracked her was down across her neck and knocked her unconscious. And that's what caused that Sheriff Jim Clark thing to say that the buzzards eat that person. But you see, that woman was determined to make sure that everybody in the world realized that love supersedes hate. She taught and preached that hate destroys the hater from within. And love is the only way that you can grow as a human being. And that paid off, because when she was up and out of that Selma situation, got married to another guy, went over to Savannah, was in the harbor, in a little boat, about 5 or 6 people. A big boat came down the harbor, speeding. The waves of that big boat turned the little boat over that she was in. Her husband died. The captain of the boat died. Another individual on the boat died. 2 people survived that situation. That was Queen Mother and one of her best friends. Her best friend couldn't swim. Neither could Queen Mother.
And we can fly high, so high we can touch the sky. For they are the wind beneath our wings.